Welcome back to the Hardline. I'm Ric Blackwell, filling in for Ed Berliner. An onshore pipeline was operating well below its maximum operating capacity when it ruptured and leaked more than 100,000 gallons of crude oil along the Santa Barbara coast and into the ocean, according to Plains All-American Pipeline. That's the company that operates the line.
Skimming vessels so far have recovered 7,770 gallons of an oily water mixture. We're expecting 18 vessels today to assist in the water-based oil recovery. We were given clearance last night from the Department of Transportation to begin excavation around the pipeline, and we've removed 90 feet of contaminated soil in the area of the release. We anticipate that we have about 300 more feet of soil to remove from around the pipeline.
The cleanup continues. President Obama is one step closer to winning the power to speed trade deals through Congress. The Senate voted 62-38 on the fast-track trade negotiating authority the president needs to complete the Trans-Pacific Partnership. The TPP is part of President Obama's strategy to counter China's rising economic and political influence in Asia. The president praised senators for advancing the legislation.
I want to thank the bipartisan group of senators who took a big step forward this morning on a trade agenda that is consistent with strong labor standards, strong environmental standards, and is going to open up access to markets that too often are closed, even as these other countries are selling goods here in the United States.
The president said that the move will be good for U.S. businesses as well as workers. The Chinese Navy warned a U.S. spy plane 8 times to leave the area around artificial islands Beijing is creating in the disputed South China Sea. China appears to be attempting to enforce a military exclusion zone above its new islands. State Department spokesperson Marie Harf said that the U.S. plane operated in accordance with international law and would continue to do so in the area. Despite the verbal warnings issued by the Chinese, she would not describe the incident as a confrontation. Meanwhile, the Islamic State militant group claims that it has seized the last border crossing controlled by the Syrian government between Syria and Iraq. The crossing is in the same province where ISIS recently seized the historic city of Palmyra. The United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organizations Director General Irina Bokova pleaded for a ceasefire at the ancient World Heritage Site.
We may have different beliefs, we may have different views, but we have to protect such incredible vestiges of human history. And I would appeal indeed that destroying heritage will not achieve anything. Destroying such heritage does not mean that you achieve some kind of a victory over your enemy.
Syria's antiquities officials have said that most of the precious statues and artifacts have been transported to safety, but the museum building and the monument themselves cannot be moved. Palmyra is not the first ancient city to fall to the Islamic State. A propaganda video of Islamic State militants shows the alleged destruction of artifacts in Iraq's ancient city of Hatra. Doug Hughes, the Florida man and former postal worker who flew his gyrocopter from Pennsylvania onto the grounds of the U.S. Capitol, pleaded not guilty to charges of breaching some of the world's most restricted airspace. The flight from Pennsylvania to the West Lawn of the Capitol was an effort to deliver 535 letters to members of Congress. The purpose, he said, was an effort to get Congress to work for the people and not for special interests. Yesterday, Mr. Hughes spoke with Hardline host Ed Berliner and said he thinks the charges are extreme.
I indicated that I accepted the consequences when I went in. I knew there would be legal repercussions. I don't agree with what has been handed down. If you take into consideration that there's no property damage, there was no injury, there was never any intent to do any injury, and my intent was simply to change the system so that Congress is working for the people instead of the special interests. While I don't think it's appropriate that I should walk, I don't think 9.5 years in jail is appropriate either.
If convicted of all charges, he could be sentenced for up to 9.5 years in prison. That's the Hardline for today. I'm Ric Blackwell. Stay tuned because more Newsmax TV is next.